Great people, welcome to NameTech channel. My name is Nehemiah and I'm very happy to have you on board. So this is Python Mysql full course, and we are going to begin from the very basics to the advanced. But then before we start, please take a minute, subscribe, like and share the video to your friends. And to the returning subscribers, I really appreciate you very much for your continuous support. So basically Python can be used in database application, and one of the most popular databases is MySQL. Of course, we have others like Mongo, DB, that is NoSQL, and we also have PostgreSQL and many others. But then, guys, basically we are going to focus on MySQL database in this course. And guys, basically to be able to experiment with the code examples for this course, you should also have MySQL installed in your system so that we may go along here. So now to download, I'm going to show you how to download and install this MySQL. So first of all, let me show you that. Let me open another tab. Then I just type in www.mysql mysql.com, and then mysql.com, and then what I do, let me just say downloads. Let me say downloads, and then what I do, guys, let's get to MySQL community GPL downloads here, and then what I do, I click on MySQL installer for Windows here. And then once you're here, click on this 437 file. Then I click on download so that you may download it. Most of the time they encourage you to create an account with them, but then for the sake of this tutorial, let me just click on download, and then let's download it. So depending on the internet connectivity, it might take some time, but then let's give it time to download. So guys, once you have finished to download, just click on open to open it. Then let the window installer initialize the installation process. So guys, once the MySQL installer is ready, and then you have this page here, you can see select the setup type that suits your use case. Now if you want to follow along this tutorial, select the full, so that it may give you the full access and the features for the MySQL. And then what you do, let's click on next. And then here, guys, basically you can see there's path conflicts, because for me I had already installed earlier. Otherwise for you, just click on next. Whenever you have any display here, just click on next. And then let me just click on yes here. And then I think for you on your end, it will have only this interface here. So what you do, you can see here the following products have failing requirements. MySQL installer will attempt to resolve them automatically. Requirements marked as manual cannot be resolved automatically. Click on each item to try to resolve it manually. You can see this one is manual, and which means can't be resolved automatically. We have to install them. So what you do, just click on next, and then I'll click on yes once again, and then let's execute. Click on execute so that it may install. You may install these products here. So guys, once these products are installed in your system, just click on next, and then let's now configure these tabs here, these products. Then what we do, let me click on next so that we may begin. So just click on next, and then remember for me I had already headed this software earlier. That's why for me there's this option to add the password. But I think for you there will be an option to create a password. There's an option to type a password, repeat password, and then at the bottom there's a place where you can add user. Basically you can create a user and give them their roles. This is MySQL. But then for me, I'm gonna type in a password here. Remember, is an open source. So let me just say tutorials, the password tutorials at 2023. And let me check it out. Yeah, let me give it some time so that it may check it and it's correct. So it's tutorial at 2023. So remember, this one is an open source, but then for you, ensure that no one knows your password. Keep it secret, but this one is an open source. That's why I have to share it. So let me click on next. Leave everything the way they are. Then I click on next. Then let's execute these setups here. These are these are products to be installed in our system. Then what to do, let's click on finish. Then let's go to the next product, which is Mysql router. Then what to do, let's go to it, click on next. And then I leave everything the way they are. Then I click on finish. Then let's get to the third one. Then I click on next. And then what you do, type in your password here. So password, it is tutorials at 2023. Then let's check it out. And then it is correct. So what we do, let's click on next. Then let's execute so that it may install these products here. And then once it's done, then let's click on what, finish. Click on next again. And then you can choose to copy the logs to clipboard so that you may check the entire process in this installation. Otherwise, let's just click on finish. And then this is the Mysql workbench, but also we have this terminal for Mysql. But then what I'm gonna do, guys, basically if this Mysql workbench hasn't opened, what you do, go to the start, then to the apps, and then I'll find the Mysql workbench app here. If it not be available here, just try to expand. Then you might find it somewhere, but then ensure that you are opening Mysql workbench. Or you can just search even here. You can search with the search bar. Just type in my SQL workbench like this. Then you're gonna have access to it. Then what you do, just open. So once you've opened, then what you do, just click on this local instance. There's a section here. Just click on it. Then they'll request you to add your password. So mine is tutorials at 2023. And then what we do, guys, basically you'll have this kind of an interface. Remember, for me, I had already created this table. Basically, I've been using this Mysql earlier, so I just the uninstalled, but I think some products weren't installed. So what I do, let me just try to drop the schema. The schema is just like a database. I'm gonna show you everything with Python. First of all, let me drop this schema. And then guys, basically let me show you how you can create a database while in this software. So what you do to create a database in Mysql is schema. So create a new schema in the connector server. So what you do, just click on it, and then you can give it a title like let me say test. Try test. Then you click on apply. Then this is the command to create, or the statements to create the database, which is create schema. Which is test. But then in our code, we shall be using create database, because I will be using SQL statements. Then once you're done, just click on apply, then finish. Then I'll have this test here. And then you can also use, you can right click here again. Then you can create schema while in this section. But then I don't want to do that for now. I want to focus on code. And remember, this is Python, Mysql. So what I do is let's get back to the code. Remember, I'm using Jupyter Notebook now for this course from the Anaconda environment. If you don't have Anaconda, just go to the YouTube browser, then type in Anaconda download. Then I go to the Anaconda website, and then we'll find where there's a link to download it. Then just click on it to download. Remember, for me, I have already downloaded. But then for you, download it, then install. I think the process, the steps is just straightforward. Just click on yes until you finish, or next until you finish. The installation process is just straightforward. And then once you've installed, open the Anaconda Navigator, and then you're going to have this kind of an interface. So while in this interface, you're going to choose basically the notebook or IDE that you're going to use. But then for this tutorial, I'm going to use Jupyter Notebook, which is a very perfect Python text editor, of which you are going to use in this tutorial. So first of all, let me just try to close these other tabs. And then here, you're going to decide where you want to place your project. So mine, let me just put it here, the desktop. Remember, I had already created earlier. So let me delete it and show you again. I think if you don't have any page or any file for this Jupyter, it will be empty on your desktop. I don't know which files you have on the desktop. Otherwise, click on this new, and then select Python interpreter. We are using Python 3, and then here, give it time first of all. You can change the untitled title to your preferred title, like I can say, let me say what? Let me say, this is Python MySQL. Python MySQL, and then click on the name. And then guys, I basically want to begin by first checking if the MySQL driver is installed. And basically we are using MySQL.connector, MySQL connector driver. So I think if you have followed all the steps that I've showed you, you should have installed this MySQL driver to be used in this tutorial. If you want to check it out, you can do this. Let's type in here import, should be in small letter. Say import MySQL connector, MySQL.connector, and then what I do, guys, let me try to run. And then guys, basically when you run and you see there's no error, just know that you have MySQL connector installed in your system. Otherwise, if you have the error here, what you do to install it, just open your file explorer, then navigate to your location, basically to that location. First of all, let me get to the users, and then mine is HP, and then guys, find where there's app data. Here it is. But then if it doesn't reflect here, go to the views and ensure that the hidden files are available. You can see when it is not checked, you can't find app data here when you try to search, and there's no app data. But then when you click on it, then you're gonna find app data here. So just click on it, then I go to the local, again I go to where programs, go to Python 3.11, Python, then I go here to the scripts, then I here just do it. I click on the file path here at the top, then I type there cmd, and then to open that cmd, or guys, basically you can just use the cd then to take you to that root directory for scripts. Then while you are here, just type in Python, then Python m, and then let's say pip install MySQL dot space, actually it's not space, it's hyphen, connector. This is the spelling for connector, and then yeah, sure, and then Python, and then hit enter. And then remember, for me, if you have followed these steps, you must have this MySQL installed. Otherwise, and that's the command to install that MySQL connector in your system. So what you do after that, just try to run again, and if it won't bring any error, just know that it is done what it is installed in your system. So I want us now to create the connection between this notebook and the database engine here, MySQL. So what we are gonna do, guys, first of all, remember, it's a good practice always to import the modules in the first line of code, and then to the other lines of code you just code directly. But then since I teach, let me just make sure that I import the modules in every cell, so that you may be sure of which modules to use in a particular category. So first of all here, then let's create our database connection. First of all, let me use a variable here, perhaps let me say my DB. Then let me assign it to MySQL.connector.connect, and then here let's pass in a tuple, and then in this tuple I'm gonna do it. Let me pass in. First of all, we're beginning with the host name. Just type in host, then I assign it to. Remember, I'm using localhost on this other end. So let me just say the alias for localhost is 127.0.0.1. If you are not sure about the alias name, just go to your database engine. Then to the database here, click on manage connection. And then you can see the host name is 127.0.0.1. Then the username is root. So what I do here, the next thing, ensure that you type in what user. User now, that's the username. I'm gonna assign it to it is root. It is root. And then what is the password? I said this one is an open source. Remember this video is on YouTube, so it's public. So let me use the one which is accessible, that people can try with it. Remember, it's not my official password, but for the sake of tutorial, let me use it. It is a tutorials. But then for you, ensure that you type a strong password and ensure no one knows it. And then here I'm gonna pass in what it was tutorials at 2023. Always guys, ensure that you close this one is a list. Ensure that you close an item with a comma. Ensure that you close parameters with commas for it to work very well. And then now guys, basically to test if this connection is perfect, what we are gonna do, just type in print, and then let's pass in that connection here, which we define with the variable my db. Then let's try to run. So guys, basically when you see this code here at the terminal, MySQL.connector.connection underscore cxt c MySQL connection object, and you have these values, just know that the connection is perfect. If it gives you the error, just know that perhaps the credentials here are not that perfect. So now guys, let me show you how to create the database. I showed you how to create the database on this other end. You use, first of all, let me close. On this other end, guys, I will use my schema. Create new schema to create, or you can just right click. Then you're gonna do it, create the schema. But then I want to show you with a code, because this one is Python MySQL. So we're gonna focus on writing with Python. So to create the database, remember the connection. Let me just copy every code, because our connection is just the same. Let me use the same. And then here we are gonna do it. Let's create the variable for cursor. I'm gonna say my cursor. And then I'm gonna assign it to my db. Remember, this my db is the variable for connection dot cursor method dot cursor, and then I'm gonna pass in an empty tuple. And then what I do here in the next line of code, let's now use this variable my cursor dot execute and then we're gonna pass in this statement, create database. Remember the other side it was a create schema, but then in this one we are using create database. These are the SQL statements in caps. Remember, create the database, create database, and then the database name itself, perhaps let me call it customers. Let's call it customers. And then what I do, let's try to run. Let's run, and then let's get to our engine. Then let's try to refresh, and then guys, basically you can see we have this database called customers here. But then what I do, let me drop first of all, and then let me just use a simple one, and let me call it perhaps let me call it my DB, my database. Let me just call it my data, let me call it my database like that. Then let me run once again. Then let's refresh. Guys, basically if you see there's no error, just know that your codes are perfect. So let me refresh, and then here you can see we have my database, database. So basically, how do we check if it exists without going to the other in software and confirming? So basically, we have the statements for that to check if database exists, which is just, let me just copy everything here, and then what I do, let me paste it there, and then here I'm gonna execute this statement, which is SQL statement called show show databases, and then here let me use a for loop so that it may return all the databases there. So let me say for x in my cursor, for x in my cursor, and then let me say print, and then let me say print x, and then what I do, let me run, and then again, basically you can see it has returned all the databases that is available in that MySQL engine. Then we have SYS, Killer, MySQL, my database information underscore schema, performance underscore schema. So basically these are the database available here. You can see we have these databases here, but then I remember others are for administration. Actually, they are for these are MySQL, so it won't return it here. But then you can see with Python, it has returned all the databases there. So guys, basically if you you can try to access the database when making the connection, guys, basically. So let me show you that you can just access the database directly in this connection. Let me show you that. So just paste it there. Once you are sure that the database is created, like in our case it is my database created, what you do, just add it here, the connections, just say should be database. Let me assign it to what? Let me assign it to my database. Basically the database that we created just in a few. It was my database. So what I do, that's what I'm gonna pass it here. Let me pass it there, and then again, basically that's how you can add the database into your connection. Now let me now show you how to create the table. Now to create the table, guys, I will use the create table statement, which is a SQL statement, and then so what I do, guys, once everything is sorted here, what you do, guys, first of all, let me copy this variable here. Remember, this is the variable for connection there. Then let me just paste it. Let me just paste it there. And then here, guys, let me use that my cursor. Let me use that my cursor, and then dot execute. Then we're gonna pass in these SQL statements. Perhaps to create a table, we're gonna say create a table where we're gonna create the table in these basically a table called, perhaps let's say, customers. Remember, once we have defined the database here, so so we just define the table itself, because already database is connected there. So just say customers. So just say customers, and then let's pass in what? Let's pass in name. Then let's say voucher, and then let's pass in. Remember, voucher stands for the input field with which is strings, which I'll accept only strings. And then we are gonna give it perhaps something like remember, for name, I don't know if there's a name that surpasses 50 characters, or perhaps let me just, if it's there, let's just give it 100. Remember, some people are jokers, they can just type anything there, but then to limit it is very, very good. And then here the other one, so add in a comma, then let's add in for address. For address, then let's use also voucher. it should be virtual. And then this one should be at least, for address we can give it even 200 characters. And then what to do, guys, let's try to run, and then let's check out in our database. So let me first of all refresh, then open your database, then open the table. Then guys, basically you can see now you have customers table, and then it has these input fields. It has basically these columns, name and address. So basically that's how you can do that. So how do you know if this table exists if without getting to the software and confirming? So what you do to do that, we can use a command here or a statement there called, and there's a statement to show the tables, which is just, remember MySQL is just easy. Things are just straightforward. When you just say show a table, this one is done. Show tables, and then it will return all the tables. Of course, we have to use also the for loop. So let me say for x in my cursor, that variable there, my cursor, and then I want to do print x, so that it may return all the tables available there, created there. And then you can see we only have this customers table. It has returned customers table. So if you have several tables, it will return all the tables available there. But then let me talk about primary key. So guys, basically it's always a good practice to have number, and perhaps when you add a record, it should be reflected perhaps number with the index number, like record 1 index number 1, record 2 index number 2, that hierarchy. So guys, basically it's a good practice when creating a table to create also a column with a unique key for each record. And this one is what we call the primary key. And then we can use a statement called int auto increment primary key, which will insert a unique number for each record, starting at 1 and increased by 1 for each record. Perhaps when you add a record, and then at the other record it will increase by 1. Perhaps guys, let me just show you that. Let me just do it. Let me just copy the other one. Let me just copy this one. Then let me just copy, and then here let me just do it. Let me just paste, and then once I've pasted here, what I do, no, this one is table, should be create table. I should be a create table. Remember in caps, create table, and then the table is gonna be, remember this table exists, or let me just use a different table, like let me say clients table, and then in this table I want to have a column for, first of all, I want to have a column for the perhaps let me call it ID, for ID numbers, and then to create the primary key, we are going to use this is, remember a primary key is an integer. Let's use integer, and then let's add in auto underscore increment, and then primary key. So this is the statement to create the primary key, and then at the second column, let's call it name, and then at the name, this one is varchar, and then let's give it 100 characters there. Then at the address, let me use small letters. Then for address also is a varchar, and then I'm gonna pass in at 255 characters, and then what we do, let's run, and then once there's no error, just know that it is, wow, that's the error, no database selected. Oh, so guys, basically I should have selected the database here. Let's check it out. Guys, basically we should have added the database. Remember this we did not add the database, so I should have added. Let me just copy it here. Let me just copy it there, then I add it to the connection, and then let's try to run again, and then guys, there is no error, just know that it is working. Let's check it out, and then you can see, guys, basically when you refresh, when you refresh, you have the clients table with what? With the ID, names, and address. So that's how you can do that. Let me try to extend so that it will be perfect. Yeah, you can say we have the ID column for which will be having the primary key, the names, address. But then let me just delete this one. Let me just delete it by dropping the table. I'll show you how to delete with with the code. But then let me focus with customers table. Remember, you can alter table, or you can alter the table which exists by using the alter statement. I just write alter, and then you're going to add, perhaps if you want to add another column, just use the alter keyword, actual alter statement. But then for now, let's create customers tables. It should be customers. Is this the spelling for customers? I don't know. Let me check it out. Yeah, CEO. Yeah. Let me just drop it first of all so that we may not have conflicts that it exists. Then once I've dropped it there, what I do, let me run, and then I think it's now available. So I think guys, by now you have understood how to create the tables in the in the MySQL. So guys, basically let me now show you how to add data, how to add some records inside this table with code. So basically, to fill a table in MySQL, we use the insert into statement. So let me show you that, guys. So first of all, let me copy the codes. Let me first of all delete these ones. First of all, let me just select all, then I do at copy. You can use them in a single line of code or in a single cell, but then because I'm teaching, I want to show you everything in a different cell so that you may understand everything here. So first of all, always ensure that you have this variable for the connection, for database connection, and also the method here called cursor. And then once you have it there, I can create here a variable for SQL. So let me just call it SQL. Now let me assign it to into this statement. So let me call it insert into, then the table name which is customers, and then we are gonna add in the name. Actually, we are gonna insert the names in the names column. Remember, for ID it will be auto increment. Is a primary key, it will be auto increment. So we are gonna just fill in the name column and also the address column. And then guys, basically it's a good practice always to use the placeholder values here to escape or to prevent the the SQL injection, which is a very a technique issue, basically a technique approach which hackers usually use to hack your databases. So to prevent the SQL, the SQL basically to prevent yourself from being hacked, or a SQL injection, you're gonna do this. Let's use the variables here. First of all, let's say values, and then we are not going to type values here. Instead, we are going to use the placeholder, of which is going to be, unless the placeholder is %s. So this one stands for the name. Then for address, is going to be this other placeholder called the same. Remember, placeholder remain the way it is. And then what I do here, let me also create a variable for now the real names here. Then I'm going to pass inside this a tuple. Then the first name is, let me just use Nehemiah, and then the second one, basically let me just say Nehemiah Wakesa, and then remember this stand for the first name, the placeholder, they stand for this first placeholder, which is name. Then for address, gonna be, let me just say Nairobi, Kenya, Kenya, and then let's say let me say my cursor, my cursor dot execute my cursor dot execute. Then we're gonna pass in SQL and also VAL. And then what else? Guys, basically to make changes to take place, actually to make sure that the changes take place, we must use this variable called, first of all, define your connection, which is my DB, and then use this method here called .commit. For the changes to take place, it's a method. And then perhaps let me print some values there so that you may be sure that it is added. So let me just say print perhaps my cursor variable. First of all, let's pass this my cursor variable, and then row count. The row count method. Then perhaps the other parameter, let me use a string here. Perhaps let me say record inserted. Record inserted. Then what I do, let me try to run, and then you can see one record inserted. Let's check it out. You can see when I try to refresh here, you can see there's Nehemiah, and then Nehemiah Wekesa, Nairobi, Kenya. And you can see it is number 1, ID number 1. So guys, basically that's how you can do that. Remember, you must always use this mydb.commit method for it to take place, actually for changes to take place. So guys, basically let me show you how you can add multiple records in a table. In that case, we'll be using execute many method. So first of all, let me select this one, and then let me copy, and then to the new cell, let me paste it there. And then here, what I'm gonna do, guys, let me just use a list. A list is defined using the the squared brackets. Then what I do here, let me add several. You separate an item with a comma. Let me copy. Then what I do, let me just paste it there. Paste several should be. I think this one are enough for this tutorial. Let me just change here. Perhaps let me say Abigail Cherotich. Then let me say Mercy Wanjiru. Let me change here to Elon Musk. Let me give this person perhaps someone like Bill Gates. Then here perhaps let me add it to Moses Korea. Then here let me just add someone like let me say Gideon. What's the spelling for Gideon? I think this way, Gideon Simiyu. Let me add in another one, like let me just say John Smith. Then the other one, let me just use which name should I use? Let me just use Ronald Kemboy. I don't know if this name exists. And then here let me just add in perhaps Ruth. And then perhaps let me change the address. Perhaps here let me just say Eldoret. Here let me say Kisumu. Remember, these are the cities in Kenya. And then the other cities is Nairobi. The other cities Mombasa. Yeah, let me say Mombasa. Here should be Kisumu, right? Kisumu. And then Nakuru also is a city. Eldoret is not a city. It should be Kisumu. Nakuru is a city, right? Nakuru. So basically these are the cities in Kenya. So basically this is the address. So now here we are going to change the method here to execute many method, and then now we are going to pass in these two variables, one for the SQL statements with the placeholders, and then the other one for the real values that we are going to place in that placeholders. And then what I do, let me run. Perhaps here the terminal, let me just change to let me just perhaps let me say was inserted. So what I do, let me try to run, and I can see 9 records were inserted, was inserted. Let's try to check if it's true. Let me refresh. And then it's true, guys. I can see we have now 10 records. Remember, we had already one record. That's why you can see it is 10 now. So that's how you can add multiple records. But then perhaps let me talk about get inserted ID. You can get the ID of the row you just inserted by asking the cursor object. Remember, we are using the cursor object. We define it here at the top, but we are using it as a variable there. So let me first of all copy, and then let me paste it here. So let me first of all remove this one. I don't want it to be a list. Let it be a single record like this. And then what I do here, perhaps let me change the name to someone like let me call it perhaps let me use a Sharon Kipngetich. And then now what I do here, now I should have changed to execute method. And then what I do here, first of all, we must have this commit method. And then here, perhaps let me change these variables here. Perhaps let me just say, let me use some statement here. Perhaps let me say one record inserted. Then let me say ID number is gonna be defined with this method here. First of all, my cursor dot last row ID, and then what you do, let me run, and then guys, I'm basically sure you can see I forgot we basically here I should have used a different first of all, let me just get Python type tuple cannot be converted. Oh sure guys, basically it's a tuple which I should have used to what? Oh guys, basically it has a comma here at the end. And then what I do, let me try again to run and see if it will work. Let me run, and then guys, basically can see it is now working. One record inserted, ID number 11. Let's check it out. So you can see when I refresh, we have Sharon keeping a teacher at 11th record. So basically that's how you can get the ID number of the last row. So let me talk about the select from. Actually, basically we can use the Mysql select statement basically to select records from your table. So what I do, guys, let me show you that. For example, if I want to return some numbers or such stuffs, so it provides us with the select statement for that. And then what I do, guys, here, let me just and delete these variables here. Let me just delete it. And then here the execute, my cursor.execute, we are going to pass in SQL statement here. So that first of all, let's say select, and then we are going to select all column. So we use asterisk. Then from keyword, from clause or from statement to define the table itself, which is customers tables, customers. And then what you do, let's do this. Let's say my result. Create a variable for the results. Then let me pass in what, my cursor, and then fetch all records, fetch all, and then is a method. And then what you do, this one we don't need a commit here. Instead, we can use a for loop. Let me say for x in my result, print x. Then what I do, let me run, and then I can see it has returned. It has returned all these values, the records in our database. So basically, that's how you can record. Remember, fetch all method. Will fetch all the rows from the first to the last records which were executed. So guys, I basically want to select some particular column, or just if you want to avoid perhaps the ID you're gonna use instead of a asterisk, you're gonna just pass in names, perhaps say names, and address. If you want to omit the ID, then when you run, you'll have only, let me just check it out. Unknown column names. Oh, sure, there's no column name called names. It is name. Then when you run, you can see we have only the name and the address. We don't have the ID. Or rather, you can as well choose to return only the names column. Let me run, and then you can see we only have the name columns. Or you can also choose to return only the address column, and then it will return the address column. So this is how you can work with that. And guys, basically you can as well fetch even one record. So we can use fetch one method if you are interested perhaps in only one row. If you want to do it, if you want to see only one row, you can use fetch one method. So instead of fetch all, you can change to fetch one, fetch one, like this, fetch one, and then you are gonna do it. First of all, let's do it. Let's use asterisk here so that we may define the entire table, and then here fetch select from. Then what I do here, let's just print out my result. Let me just say print what that variable my result, print my result. Then now what I do, let me run. Then I can see that it has returned only Nehemiah Wekesa, Nairobi, Kenya. So basically that's how you can do. That's how you can print. You can return only the one record with the fetch one method. Now let me talk about the filter. And guys, basically filter is very, very fundamental. Like for now, guys, we are working with very small number of small data set here, or a small table. But then in some cases, you might find yourself having thousands of records. So in that case, you might want to use the filter to to obtain some records you want, other than scrolling down and searching for that. So we are going to use the where clause or a where statement if we want to select records where there is perhaps a certain address, certain name. So in that case, guys, let me just show you that. First of all, copy all, or a control plus, you can see control plus is to copy. Then here, let me paste it there. And then what I do here, guys, let me use a SQL statement here. Perhaps let me say as SQL. Then let me assign it to, and these are SQL code statements. Let me say select. And then we are selecting the entire columns, all columns from this table called customers. From customers, and then now we are using this where clause to specify which records we want to do it to select. So where perhaps name, or address. Let me use address. Address is Nairobi, Kenya, perhaps. Is now here we are going to use the double quotes. Remember, if you have used a single quote to enclose the entire statement, so you must use here a single or a double quote here. So it can be vice versa. So if you have used outside the double quotes, instead you should use the single quotes. And then I here perhaps let me say Nairobi, Kenya, and then let me just remove this as statement, and then perhaps let me just say or rather guys, let me just pass in here. Let me just pass it here SQL, that variable, and then what I do then here should be fetch all, not fetch one. Let me change it to fetch all, and then we are going to use the for loop here. Let me say for should be for x in my result, and do what print should be print x, should be print x, and then what I do, let me try to return. So first of all, it's not working, right? So I think there's a problem somewhere, or there's no place where this address Nairobi, Kenya. Let me just confirm. Nairobi, Kenya exists. Oh, sure guys. Basically, for Kenya it was small letters. That's why it's not bringing. It should be. I used small letter. So let me try to run again, and then still it's not working. Don't know what the problem. So I think let me just check my calls and see if it's they are okay. SQL, my cursor fetch all, then for x in my result, and then I don't know why it's not working here. Where clauses are perfect. So guys, it seems not working. So what I do, let me try to change here to name. Let me use a name. Let me use a name. Then let me use Nehemiah Wakesa. Let me say Nehemiah Wakesa. Then let me try to run and see if it will work here, guys. Basically, it has returned. It has returned all the records that has Nehemiah Wakesa, of which we only have one. But I don't know why it's failing to return Nairobi, Kenya. You can see, or rather, guys, let me just copy. Let me copy the values. Then here, let me change to address. Then in this address, let me just paste it there, so that it may return all the values that has all the record that has Nairobi, Kenya. I don't know why it's not working. Let me check if I use the correct name for address. Yeah, it's address. Address. I don't know why it's not working. Address or guys, basically what I do, let me just I think guys, basically I've gotten the idea. It works with the name. I think there's a typo with rather guys, let me just try to use Nakuru, Kenya. Let me just use Nakuru, Kenya and see if it will work. Let me say Nakuru. Let me first of all change to address, and then address I'm gonna say Nakuru, Kenya. Let me run. Yeah, you can see for Nakuru, Kenya it returns, but I don't know why Nairobi is failing. So Nairobi, Kenya. Yeah, guys, basically it has worked finally. You can see it has returned all the records that has Nairobi, Kenya in their address. So basically that's how you can fetch that.
So guys, let me now talk about the wildcard characters. Sometimes you might want to filter a record that starts with or includes or ends with a given letter or phrase. Perhaps you can search for a record that has Wekesa or a Kesa or a SA or a has Kenya. So basically to do that, you are going to use the wildcard characters. And how do you define the wildcard characters? Basically to define it, so here instead of instead of this statement here, we are gonna delete it, and then here we are gonna use like, let's say like, and then now the wildcard characters is defined using this um percentage percentage. So for example, I want us to look for a name that has perhaps a case like this. So in that case, basically this one is address. We are targeting the address column. So let's look for something that has Kenya in it, or NE. So let me just do it. Let me paste it there, and then I remember it ends also with a percentage. And then what we do here, it should return everything, right? So the variable, let's see, fetch all, and then yeah, let me just run, and then you can see it has returned the ones that has or let's search for the one that has sumo Kisumu, that is Sumu. So basically to return this record, so let me just paste it there, and then what I do, let me try to run, and then you can see it has returned where it has Sumu in it. So you can as well do that with the names column, but it is name, right? Name, and then for name, perhaps let me search for, I said Wekesa, or let me just search for the one that ends with A. So let me SA, then let me search, and that one is Wekesa. It ends with SA, it has SA in it. You can search for the one that has MA. Perhaps let me look for another value, like here, uh, let's say Gates. Let me say Gates. Then what I do, let me run, and then you can see it returns Bill Gates. Basically, that's how you can filter with the wildcard characters. And guys, to prevent the SQL injection, guys, I think by now you understand. So instead of perhaps for name here, and just assign it to this a placeholder value, which is defined with this is. Then once you have done that, you have also to create another variable for your real values. So it's a tuple. Then here you are gonna do this. You're gonna pass in basically the name that you want to filter. Perhaps let's say Wekesa Nehemiah. This is name. Let me say it is Nehemiah. Wekesa. Or Nehemiah Wekesa, and then what you do when you run. So guys, basically I think there's an error. Oh guys, I basically forgot also to add. Remember, once you have defined the variable here in the in this in this placeholder, basically you must also use it here. You must also add it here. You must execute VAL, or the variable name that you used for it to work, and still it gives us the error. Let's check it out. Could not process parameters Nehemiah Wekesa. Oh, so guys, basically perhaps there might be an error. So guys, basically you should always close with a comma for it to work. Ensure that you close this one with a comma to work. So guys, basically you can see it works now. So basically that's how you can use you can prevent the SQL injection using these placeholder values, so that you may escape the SQL injection. Now basically the other thing that I want us to talk about here is the sort by, or not really sort by, it is order by statement. So basically guys, you can as well order, or you can sort the results in ascending order or descending order, in that format, using the order by statement. So guys, basically to do that, let's begin by default. So basically by default is ascending. Let me just change here to perhaps here I should have changed just to order by. Let me say order by, and then we are targeting the name column. So by default it will be ascending order. Then here we are going to execute only the SQL, because we don't want this one, because we end inputting values, and then here fetch all. Then what I do, let me try to run and see if it will work. Yeah guys, basically you can see now we have sorted in ascending order. which it has rearranged our IDs. Here you can see now number 2 is now number 1, number 5 is number 2, based on the orders in these names, because we chose name to be our our column to sort with. And then to specify, if you want to begin with the ascending, perhaps you want Sharon to be at the top, to be the first one. What you do here, you're gonna add in another statement here called d descending, DESC, like that. And then what you do when you run, then you can see now Sharon is now the first one, then Abigail is the last one. So basically that's how you can use the order by to sort your columns, or to sort your records. But now guys, let me show you how you can delete records in MySQL. So guys, basically you can delete records from an existing table using the delete from a statement. Let me just use this one. Then here guys, basically the statement, I'm gonna change it here to delete, not select. Now you're gonna use delete. Now asterisk defines that all the columns, we are targeting all the columns. And then from customers table, where I'm gonna use a where clause here. Let me say where name, or perhaps let me say where name. Let's delete the last one, which is Sharon Wekesa. Where name is Sharon Kipngetich, not Wekesa. Sorry. Let me assign it to Sharon Wekesa, like that. Sharon Kipngetich, sorry guys. And then here I'm gonna pass in the SQL here, this variable. And then here we are gonna remove this fetch all. And then instead we are gonna use MyDB, because we are making changes to the database. So you have to use MyDB dot commit method to make the changes take place. And then here perhaps let's use a print function. And then in this print function, let me pass in my cursor. It should be my cursor dot row count count. And then we're gonna pass, let it be somehow descriptive. Perhaps let me say records, or a records, because we can delete several records. So let me say were deleted and deleted, like that. And then what I do, let me try to run and see if it will work. Guys, basically you can see invalid syntax here at Sharon. Oh, sure. Oh, guys, basically, I remember I said, guys, once you have defined the entire statements with the single quotes, so inside should be double quotes here. Remember, if you use the same, it will have effects like how you can see. So ensure that here you use the single quotes. Let's try to run again, and then still it give us the error. Let's check it out. Name at line. Oh, so what is it? Near asterisk. Oh, the problem is near that asterisk. I think it's the delete. So delete, and then from not really, guys. Basically, I use this asterisk. I should have removed delete from customers table, and then where name is Sharon Kipngetich. Then what I do, let me run, and you can see now one record is deleted. Let me try to refresh. And then when first of all, you can see this row 11, Sharon Kipngetich. Let's try to run. And then again, basically you can see we no longer have it again, because it is now deleted. Basically that's how you can delete it. But then you must always use this mydb.commit. Remember, mydb is a variable for the connection between this a notebook and the the software itself. And then also you realize that you must use also where close to specify the record that you want to, to delete. Otherwise, all the records will be deleted if you don't do that. Now, to prevent the SQL injection, guys, basically you just it's a good practice always to do that. So in that case, guys, we just replace with this placeholder uh called percent, and then a s, percent, and then a s, and then here you can create another variable val, and then perhaps let's pass in to this tuple, and then you it should be inside the quotes is a string, because there is a string, and then here you can add you ensure that you add a comma for it to work. Then what I do now is not Sharon Wekesa because it's deleted. Let's target perhaps Ruth Malesi, and then what I do, let me paste it there, and then let me run. Then guys, I forgot to pass the variable here, should be val. Then let me run, and then one record was deleted. Let's refresh and see. Yeah, it's no longer available, it's now deleted. So basically that's how you can use the the placeholder %s method to escape values in the delete statement, so that you can also prevent the SQL injection, which is a common web hacking technique, which hackers use it to destroy or misuse your database. Now, let's talk about something else, how we can drop a table. Basically, guys, should I create another table here? Because I don't want to delete this table that has my records. Perhaps, guys, let me just create another one. Let me use a different. Let me just say it should be my cursor dot execute, and then I'm gonna pass in this statement called what? Let me say create. Remember, it must be in caps. Create table. Create a table, and then the table name can be clients. Let me call it clients, and then a name. Let me say it's a voucher. So table say, let me say a voucher should be in caps, voucher, and then the maximum number is gonna be 200 or 100 words. And then here, let me also create another one for address. Remember, I can use anything, it mustn't be address, but these are just my preference. Then here also voucher, and then let it be 200 or 255. Then what I do, let me try to run. Guys, previously I had forgotten to add the columns, but now it must be there. Let me try to refresh here, and then you can see we have the clients table. So guys, now let me show you how you can do it, how you can delete, how you can do it, how you can delete the table, how you can drop the table. Also, guys, to drop the table, let's get to our code. To drop the table, it's just straightforward, very easy. Let me just copy this. Let me just let me copy, and then here let me just paste, and then here I'm gonna do this. Let me say define as variable. Let me use a variable here, SQL, and then assign it to let me assign it to, alright guys, basically you can use the variable, or you can just code it directly. You can just use without the variable, like you can just say my cursor dot execute, and then here we are gonna pass in what this statement called drop table, and then in this table name is gonna be, I want to delete the other table that we have just created called clients. Let me just copy the name. Let me drop the table, and then what I do, let me run, and then it must be deleted. Let's try to check it out. Let me refresh. Yeah, it's now deleted. Guys, alternatively, you can delete it via this end by right clicking, then I drop table. I don't want to drop this table because I still want to use it. And then so basically that's how you can drop the table. And then guys, basically perhaps it's a good idea always to use if exists statement, because for example, if I want to delete this table again and it doesn't exist, you get the error. You can see a non-table my database.clients. So basically you have to use this statement called if exists, so that you may bypass that error. And then what I do, let me run, and then you can see there's no error here. So basically that's how you can do how you can use it to do it, to create the basically that's how you can use it to bypass the error. So let me show you how you can update the table, basically the records. So guys, basically to update, let me just use these ones. To update, let me use here variable, guys, or can I just code directly? Let me just code here directly without the variable, but it's a good practice always to use the variable. Then let me say update, update, then the customers table, the customers table, and then we are gonna set. So basically these are the values that I want to replace in the, perhaps let me use name. First of all, let me check the name that I want to replace. Perhaps keep me teach. Let me just use this one. Copy. So basically, first of all, here you're gonna define the names that you want to replace in the original values. So in that case, we're gonna say, let me first of all assign it to, let me use another name, like let me say Ivan. Let me use Ivan. So guys, I say that once you've defined with the single quotes here, you must use now the double quotes. Then here, let me say perhaps Ivan Lubanga. Then here I'm gonna replace where. So use the where clause, where name is, not really, you must use the double quotes. Then where name is Ronald Kipkemboi. So it will replace Ronald Kipkemboi with Ivan Lubanga. And then perhaps let me add also, guys, I must use the commit method to save the changes. So first of all, define the connection with which we use the variable my db dot commit to make the changes take place, and then as a method. And then also perhaps you may let me make some changes so that you can see the results at the terminal. Let me say print, print, and then here let me say my cursor dot row count. Then here let me add in some values. Perhaps let me say records were done what, this one is not deleted or modified, or let me say affected. Then what I do, let me try to run, and then there's an error. It is near Ronald. So basically, guys, there's an error near Ronald Kipkemboi. Let me just check. I forgot to assign, guys. Sorry, I should have assigned. Then let me try to run, and then still there's an error. Raw count again, guys. Basically, there's no attribute called should be raw count. So let me run again, and then you can see 0 record were affected. Why? Let's check it out. Let's refresh. Let me click on it, and then let me refresh, and then you can see now it is now reflected. Ivan Lubanga is now it's now what is now it was initially Kipngetich whatever, but now it's Ivan Lubanga. Let me change with something else, like here let me now add this Ivan Lubanga to this Ronald, the Ronald, then here I can change here to, initially it was what, let me say Ronald, just like that. Then what I do, let me try to run. Then one row was affected. Let's check it out. Initially you can see it was Ivan. Let me refresh, and then you can see it's now Ronald. So basically that's how you can update your records. And then I must always use them this commit this commit method for changes to take place. Actually, you define first of all your connection, which is a variable my db dot, and then a commit, and then also you specify the where clause, you specify the record that you want to affect. Otherwise it will affect every record in your in your data, in your table. And then guys, always I said it's a good practice to escape the SQL injection. So in that case you just say yes, or what I do, let me first of all undo, then let me first of all create a variable for that, so that I may not type again, like let me say val, then assign it to this, and then what I do, let me just copy, let me cut, then I here you replace with s, or the placeholder for that name, then now you paste it here, the real name now, then a comma, because there are two, and then here also you let me cut, then I replace with the placeholder for the name. Basically, guys, this is a good practice because it helps you to prevent SQL injection. And then also you must close with a comma. And then let's try to run. And then still there's an error, right? Let's see. Near S, so it was basically there's an, I forgot to delete something there. Set name. Where, oh guys, I sure basically I shouldn't have used here. Let me try to run again. Oh, so guys, basically in that case, guys, I should have used also the variable here. So I should say, let me cut, then perhaps let me call it SQL, then assign it to this statement. Then now here let me use another val, then here let me say let me pass it here, and then here I'm gonna pass in SQL and also val. Then what I do, let me try to run, and then you can see 0 record we are affected. So cause still Ivan Lobang and Ronald were affected. So here let me just perhaps change here to Ronald. This is the original value, but I want to affect with, perhaps let me use Ivan. Let me this time use Mercy Wamboi. Then let me run, and then one row was affected. Let me check it out, and then you can see it was initially Ronald. Let me refresh, then it's now Mercy Wamboi. So guys, basically you can use also the placeholder to escape the SQL injection, but still you will obtain the the results. But then guys, perhaps let me show you how you can limit the results. So basically MySQL has a statement called limit, of which you can use it to limit results. Like let me show you how you can select the first 5 records in the customers table and omit the rest. So in that case, what you do, let me delete these tabs, and then here you are gonna do this. So let's say select the entire rows columns from the table which is customers, right? Which is customers limit, and then I'm gonna limit what? I'm gonna limit to 5, perhaps 5 records from the start, and then here perhaps let me create another variable. Perhaps let me say my result into my cursor dot fetch all. Dot fetch all is a method, and then what I do here, let me say for x in my result, for x in my result, and then now what I do here, let me say print print x, and then what I do, let me try to run and see if it work. Yeah, guys, basically you can see we have now returned the first 5 records. Or guys, basically you can choose to start somewhere. You can start from another position. It doesn't have to be the first record. You can specify where you want to start. Perhaps you can say you add this a statement called offset. You can set offset, perhaps let's say offset to 2. So basically to begin from the row number 3, if you say offset 2, then let me run, and then you can see now it has begun from 3. So basically that's how you can do that. That's how you can limit. And then there's the last thing here, guys. Basically there's a last thing that I wanted to discuss, but I want to give you as an assignment called MySQL join. So for MySQL join, perhaps let me direct you where you can find reference. So go to my website. It is nametech. Nametech.com. Then / then Python at page number 5. So you say hyphen then 5. Alternative, you can just go to Nametech website, then find where Python is, then I go to the next page until you reach where Python MySQL is. Now once you are there, what you do, I just click on it. I don't know why my internet is buffering. Let me try to refresh and see if it will open. Then again, I basically can see that all of these stuff that I've been talking about is available here. You can see there's introduction, there's a create database, there's a create table, and there's an insert table, there's a there's select, there's what from select, actually select where. But then there's this thing that I wanted to give you as an assignment called MySQL join. So guys, basically what you're gonna do, I have the values here. I have 2 tables. You can create 2 tables. Perhaps the first one you can call it users. I used users here. Then the other one you can say products. And then guys, basically you remember the ID, we use the auto increment. And then for name, we just use varchar. And then you can specify the maximum number of characters. And then you can also create another one for a fav, and then as an integer, and then as an integer, and then also create another one. And then what you do, use the join statement to do it, to join tables. So you can see you can combine rows from 2 or more tables based on a related column between them using the join statement. So guys, you can do that. You can go through. I have the code examples here, and just go through it. And then guys, basically you're gonna gain a lot in this website. Otherwise guys, basically you can as well, perhaps you didn't get everything well, in this video, so you can find the full reference in this website, and you gain a lot. So guys, I want to end this video here, and up next we shall talk about this Python MongoDB. And guys, this is my next video. I'll talk about this one. But then for now guys, I want to end this video here, but please subscribe, like, and share the video to your friends. Until next time, this is Nehemiah. Goodbye.